Okay, well, we're gonna call to order, get this started. Sarah, do you wanna present for the library? Put your sidekick right with you.
Any flooding? Flooding in the library?
You sure?
Not in the library. That I know.
Scary if it gets that far. Thank you.
The road, Pete, the road in East Fairfield.
The S curves or something.
S curves?
Yeah.
By the river?
Yeah.
Do you have extra copies of the agenda? Oh.
Yeah. You want another one?
I just want to get more of the books and the.
Alright, so, proposed library budget for 2024. So, yeah, things are going great. Gangbusters, visits are up, circulation is up. I've had a 2-year anniversary there, so we've been doing that. And in the past year, we've had lots of success. That sidewalk got repaired, and that even came in under budget. This proposed budget for 2024, if the 2023 budget's in blue, 24 is in green. And as you can see, if you're looking kind of mid-page on the first page, we're really flat. We're gonna come in $495 different from last year, and 0.3% change. Thanks. So, basically, because we came in under budget for the sidewalk, if we look at our 2023 anticipated numbers, we generated a surplus of about $7,100. Last year, we asked the taxpayers to allow us to use $10,450 from that balance fund that we have. And in order to do that sidewalk project, that was crucial as a safety issue. And so we, by overspending by about $3,270, we dip into the balance fund that we got approved from the taxpayers last year, but we end up with about 79 estimated, depending on what invoices still come in this year. So what we're proposing is that we carry $4,000 of that over in revenue in order to, alleviate any large change in the tax ask for this year. And the remaining, however much it is, around $3,100, will transfer to that capital reserve fund. Any planning for future potential repairs, carpet replacements, siding, things like that. So the biggest changes are that we are down 15% in our property expenses. Over the last couple of years, we've been really prudent at figuring out exactly what the status of this building is and making appropriate repairs and that sort of thing. So we're doing really well. Because we anticipated inflation last year, 2 years ago we had a very flat budget, like absolutely flat. So last year we increased things like energy, electricity, heat, that sort of thing. And we actually budgeted more than inflation actually accounted for. So we've taken those things down a little bit. So the biggest changes are we've added a little bit into our legal column because we have been working really hard on policies this year.
I think you got an error there, don't you?
Where?
Well, you say you're up 40,000%.
Yeah, but the number's low, so that's why.
It's because it was went
Yeah, but
from
40,
0
that
to,
went from 100 year actual from 105 to 400, which is, am I right? Or am I mistaken?
no, it went from 0 to 400.
Uh-huh.
If you look in the blue versus the green columns for legal, we went from 0 to 400, so that's the actual percent change. It's just adding $400 to the legal in order to we are ready to present to you the investment policy and the financial policies, but we know you've got a busy agenda this
It
month.
looks like it, doesn't it?
So we're gonna present those to you in early 2024.
So how much is your budget up overall?
Overall, 5.4%.
For
With-
tax.
For overall 0.3% overall.
Yeah.
Tax ask 5.4%, which is less than $7,000. So part of that adjustment is in operating expenses, and part of that is we are working on getting staffing to be a little more in line with the rest of what's going on in the
So
world.
that's salary increases, not more hours.
It's one more hour for the assistant
Okay,
librarian.
yeah.
So she's gonna go from 19 hours a week to 20 hours a week. Last year, we added 3 more hours to her. All of the libraries that are comparable size and comparable hours that are open, we have 51 staff hours a week, and they have an average of 99. So we're staffed about half of what comparable open libraries size and number of hours are. So just 1 hour more a week for the assistant librarian. Inching up with pay, we're still below average for pay for the librarians, but we're gonna try to inch it up a little bit again. And also in that line, so as you see the assistant salary line, it says 14%, that's not a 14% salary increase, that's an increase in her time and a little bit of extra staff time. So it's not actually like a straight up 14% increase for that. And health insurance has gone up, we also, our property insurance took a big jump last year, so we budgeted in again the same amount that it had jumped up to for this next year. So we've taken it down certainly where we can. The reason there's a surplus at all is because of in that assistant salary line, we did that person worked less than anticipated in this past year, and we've got some nice donations. We had a successful book sale. And we had some nice gifts and grants. We were successful with grants. So that's why we have that extra $4,000 that we can put toward revenue, which we're grateful for. So we feel like this is a really responsible place to start.
Excuse me, for expenses, what is Friends expense?
It's spending the money that they give. So in the Friends gift amount, if they enter in the revenue.
So you enter it as revenue, so how you go about
We enter the Friends gift if the Friends.
if the gift,
They gift, and
Yeah.
then when I spend money, I have to propose every year what we would like to spend their gift funds
Yeah.
on, and so as I do accounts payable to y'all, I spend their money in accordance to how they would like those funds spent. And so that comes out of expenses as the Friends expense.
well, gentlemen, do you have some questions?
I think it looks pretty good. So,
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I am confused a little bit. So the Friends, Gavin asked my question, but the Friends shows $5,100 in, and then the gift is $5,400.
Yep.
Is there other funds that are spent in addition to what's shown right here? Like the Friends do other things that are off the books, or?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a subset of the fundraising that the Brownell Friends of the Library do. There's other funds that are spent at their discretion, correct?
Yeah, all of the funds are spent at their discretion.
Well, I was just a little confused why that would even show up for for example, like under the tax, 5.4% increase, why that would show up there, because that's a gift. And it's not, I don't need to understand everything. I am a little confused by that.
There's an in and an out, and the reason that the Friends gift at the top is $5,400, but the Friends gift below is a straight like $5,000. Is that there's a memorial fund given in the name of somebody who passed away, and so those were spent for materials for books that regard to history. So about $400 got spent specifically for materials that are history related, either historical fiction or nonfiction, that sort of thing. That's the only reason those two numbers aren't exactly the same, because a portion of those is in the book budget, ends up coming out of the book lines. But when they do, just like donations, as you can see, $865, any gift or donation counts as revenue, and then gets spent out of the expense side.
Okay.
But yes, you're right, they do take in more than that, and they have their own accounts, and like they do a wellness day, for instance, in the spring, and they spend their own, and that's not on here at all.
Right, okay.
They're their own separate 501c3 nonprofit.
Right, but since they handed me a check for $5,000, that ends up showing up as our revenue.
Okay.
And that, again, that yearly gift is not necessarily guaranteed.
Right,
It's understood at best right now. It's getting more understood, but it's not necessarily guaranteed.
which is why it doesn't, like, as far as the green column, show up as revenue. There, we can't.
Can't count on something you can't count on.
Exactly. So hopefully they will give another gift
Yeah.
this year, and that will support certain areas. It supports their mission, their bylaws state that it should support things that are not in the regular library budget.
Yeah, this is a courtesy briefing, you don't need a motion from us, you're gonna do your own thing, and, yeah. I mean, right?
Yeah, we'll be
But we're happy to.
No, it's very respectful and it, consistent with dialogue and, yeah, great.
Yeah, this will be a separately warned article at town meeting day. Yeah.
But we're always happy to hear from you as
Yeah,
far
get
as
your input.
what
Any questions?
you think of how
And
we
if you think
structure
of
it.
anything, let us know after the meeting.
You got any more questions or like any answers?
My little, I told Kathy, I was on the school board in Essex Junction for too long, 6 years, but our janitors gave us a great suggestion. They said, put metal grates in front of the doors. So like not wiping grates, but like my goal on this board would be put honor that janitor so that all that debris, because you get so much traffic in that library.
We do.
And kids can't, right? I mean, so just a thought going forward for saving your beautiful floors that you have.
Right.
Big metal grates where you walk in 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet.
Like I say, stomp.
Yeah, stomp, drag.
Put a
it.
heated walkway in that way there.
Heated walkway.
Trying to get them to cut 10%.
Well, you're looking for suggestions. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Just a thought.
That's a good idea.
No, I guess other than that, thank you, appreciate you coming in and explaining it to us, showing what you're proposing.
Great.
Okay,
Hope the numbers keep rolling up for you.
they do.
And the plan is that the library will be coming in pretty regularly over the next few months to talk about some of the policies, so.
Yeah, well,
Right,
As they become more, polished and ready to discuss.
Right, yeah, so expect us soon for that, final and investment and financial policies, so that we can, get those ironed out and signed up and.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
thank you for coming.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Happy holidays.
I assume Mo's not gonna be here this evening?
They've been running a lot today. I haven't heard from him, but there has been some flooding and they've been working on reconstructing some of those roads.
So I guess the next agenda item is, recusal from the board for someone?
Yeah, so there was a notice that Emily Byron has requested Chuck Verteber to recuse himself, and so there was a request for Emily to be on the agenda, and then Chuck also requested to be on the agenda to discuss that as well.
Well, why don't you both come up and we'll get this thing hopefully resolved?
You want up here?
Did you turn to me? My daughter did.
Did you get the note?
I turned on the castle, and she told us.
Oh my god, I was like,
Well, I guess, since I don't know much about it, I guess state your problems.
Sure. Okay, so Emily and Paul Buron, we have been before the Planning and Zoning Commission a number of times on a project on 837 Church Road. And our last meeting was December 4th. Chuck has recently been appointed to the zoning board, and so he participated in that hearing. During that hearing, his wife and household member Linda provided testimony, and so in reviewing the conflict of interest policy, I don't know if you guys have seen it or are familiar with it, but I'll just kind of read a few passages quickly. So A1 states a conflict of interest arises when there is a direct or indirect personal or financial interest of a public officer or a person or group closely tied with that officer, including his or her spouse, household member, business associate. It goes on. And then it goes on to further break those down into different categories. 1D references an indirect personal conflict of interest arises when a public officer acts on a manner in which the officer's judgment may be affected because of a familial or personal relationship or membership in some organization that would help that person or organization further its own interests. So with Linda providing testimony on a case in front of a board that Chuck sits on, I do believe that it is a conflict of interest because of their relationship. And then Article 5 then goes on to say, a public officer shall not participate in any official act or action if he or she has a conflict of interest, whether real or perceived, in the matter under consideration. And I think that covers pretty much the applicable clauses in your policy that are relevant to the hearing.
yeah, so when I was notified that I wrote Melissa about what I felt, I wrote this and I turned out what I wrote to her about that. Although I thoroughly reviewed the statutes governing
We
conflict.
didn't get that.
Yeah, we didn't.
I didn't send it.
So I brought it tonight, so everybody.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know, Melissa, if you already passed this on to Emily or not. So basically, you can read what I say here. As a zoning board member, it is my duty to listen attentively to the concerns of the community and along with the concerned citizens along the board members. And the applicants are valuable aspects of the democratic process. I'm neither a part of her communications with other concerned citizens, nor do I share information here regarding the decisions and the deliberations of the board. I will firmly believe the importance of impartiality and fair judgment are the roles of zoning board members. My decision to not to recuse myself is grounded in commitment to uphold the principles of transparency and objectivity. I assure you that my dedication to the responsibilities and the position remains unwavering. I am fully prepared to make an informed decision based on the merits of the proposal and its alignment with relevant statutes and regulations. Then Emily replied that under 5A, but again, I write here again that I'll be there to hear tonight. As I say, I'd like to reiterate it's based on the definition of conflict of interest as outlined in 4A, which defines conflict of interest to the entirety of this document. I don't understand to benefit or lose personality or financially in any other way from in the decision. Please forward this to the As an important note, I'm concerned with the precedent that this sets regarding applicants wanting to remove questioning voices from the board. Particularly, our board has members who are in the building trades and could easily be perceived as receiving a direct financial gain from increased development from Fairfield. When I joined the board, my primary interest was to uphold the regulations our community has set for the official zoning planning documents. This is what I based my decision making on. So with regard to that, I wanted to make sure that it was very clear to you guys this evening. To add, my wife and I have spent lifetime volunteering for various important boards that have shaped our state and communities, professional boards, insurance boards, school boards, boards of fundraising. It goes on to say, and Linda is currently on the board of Vermont's largest state agency, P.E.G. And through it all, we had to develop an expertise with two things: confidentiality and navigating difference of opinion. Never have either of us been asked to recuse ourselves simply because our spouses has respectively registered opinions in public meetings. Recusal on this basis would surely be unprecedented. We live in a small community where people can and have feelings and positions on public issues, but that doesn't mean that their spouse shares those views. Someone is appointed to the board because of and this I think why you guys appoint us. Someone appointed us to the board because of the demonstrated integrity and independence, their thoughtfulness and ability to listen to facts and apply the rules. That has nothing to do with their spouse's views or as part of the public discourse. When I joined the board, my primary interest was to uphold the regulations our community has set in the town plan and official zoning and planning documents. This is what I base my decision making on. I am concerned that the precedent this sets for limiting the democratic process if applicants are allowed to remove particular or questioning voices from the board, who do not stand to gain anything from the board's decisions. And I do not. So that's my feeling about this. I mean, it's up to you guys as far as that decision process, but I don't think that there's any conflict of interest because I don't feel that we have anything to gain personally, financially. And so that's where I feel this is where I stand. And it's, you know, to me, I'm on the zoning board that you guys have asked me to be a part of, looking at the regulations as they stand and go by those merits and what those are.
Melissa, has there been any precedents of any
Has there been any?
before, any conflicts of interest that you know of in the past?
No, I've been on the board for 22 years.
Never had that.
So no one has ever had to recluse or suggested they recluse
No,
themselves.
not in the 22 years that I've been there.
And in terms of recusal, it is important to know that none of the boards can force anybody to recuse themselves. They have to either determine that they will or not. And the definition of interest is usually defined in legal terms around property. It's usually it's defined around payment or some kind of tangible gain, not necessarily opinion-based. So that's those are two pieces just technical details that.
A little bit of clarification. So it breaks it down: direct financial, direct personal, indirect personal. I did bring Daniel to help with some legal jargon if needed. But you know, at the end of A1D, it does say to help that person or organization further its own interests. Linda came to the hearing as an interested party and provided testimony based on her interests. So I think it's pretty clear, you know, being a direct household member, spouse of someone that came to a hearing and expressed their direct personal interests on that topic. I'm not saying that you don't have the ability to be impartial. Unfortunately, it says whether the conflict of interest is real or perceived, and it's pretty cut and dry with the policy how that falls.
So what you're suggesting, if I understand this correctly, the select board truly doesn't have a.
They do.
No, I'm just asking questions because
So based on research we've done before about conflicts of
that's what I
interest.
think. We've been through some smaller things of this nature.
Right, but based on what we discussed in the past with our lawyer, and we may wanna discuss this particular case with the lawyer, neither of the boards at that time, when we were discussing a previous issue, had the right to actually ask somebody and force them to recuse themselves. Legally, my understanding is that you can't do that. It's when a person, but a person can read and determine whether or not they fit in that category.
Yeah, so it goes on. Article 8 explains how the elected officer can recuse themselves. And then it also gives another option: with the failure of the appointed public officer to recuse himself or herself in spite of a conflict of interest, whether real or perceived, may be grounds for discipline or removal from the office. Not what I'm asking for. I do think that you do have the ability to continue to rule on this board on other matters. And then there's enforcement actions, and it does basically give the select board there's many options that are pretty open-ended as to what the select board can do based on their decision.
We're obviously not asking for disciplinary
No.
action. We're asking for practical, pragmatic,
Yeah.
logical action.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you talk about precedent, but unfortunately, allowing someone as a family member
That's a dangerous
to rule on a board is a matter that person has expressed an interest in. That's a dangerous precedent to set as well.
Equally as dangerous, maybe.
I have a question.
Sure.
Are you on the development review board in St. Albans?
I am.
and he also, you guys own property in St. Albans City?
And I've recused
And Emily
myself
recused
from
herself
multiple
because-
hearings.
Okay, well, we're just talking about
Cool,
process.
thanks, Lori.
Is the property in question something that your wife will benefit from
No,
in any way, financially,
none
any
whatsoever.
Or
gains?
personally.
no,
Personal gains? Is she
No.
looking for personal gain?
But there, I mean, there's personal, there's financial, and then there's personal.
Perceived personal.
And it says that, I mean, I'm just reading the policy, further its own interests. So it's Lydia's interest that she expressed.
Opposing the project.
It doesn't matter, either way.
Sure.
So gentlemen, how do you wanna continue with this? Do you wanna get a legal opinion from the town lawyer, or cover everybody's butt?
Well,
Be
I
honest
think,
about
I
it.
think it's important to get a legal opinion.
And get- make sure we
and
do
I-
this
and
thing right.
I do have something to contribute in executive session on what I was advised on this issue
Yeah.
personally. And I think it's relevant, but what's more relevant is, we don't need to decide this tonight.
No.
You're not asking for action tonight.
Nope.
You know, Tom has spoken in the past wisely. You got an attorney.
Yeah.
We should, and this hasn't come up before, we're not experts on it. I think that would be a wise thing to do.
It would be a
You know,
smart
that's-
long-term
That's what
move
we've
for
done in
the
the
whole
past.
Zoning plan, any board, so when we have these
Agreed.
disagreements on things, there's a true precedence to set, we've actually gone back and done the legal work to make sure.
I think if we could also just add that there's not just a perceived, cost to this project being kind of carried on indefinitely, there's an actual cost to that, so we just ask that any actions taken as swiftly as possible with that
Yeah,
consideration.
we're on the agenda for the next zoning hearing on
And when is that?
December 8th, or sorry, January 8th.
Genuinely.
Yeah, I know, it's a tough time of year.
And I also just wanted to clarify that attorney-client privilege is covered by executive session. So there are only a few things that can be covered, but that's
Yeah.
one.
I don't know that we can guarantee a date by that, depending on this attorney, but we'll try our best to come up with an answer one way or the other, as far as
Thank
the
you very
board.
much. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
But
well,
we won't swap it off.
this
We'll
week,
try to get
this
Yeah.
week is it, next
Yeah.
week
I'm
is
just
it.
saying,
This
we
week
don't know
is
what
it,
is-
yeah. I'll connect with them tomorrow.
Very good.
we good?
Right.
You need to catch up?
Yeah, that's your thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Turn your smoke alarm off.
Okay.
Yeah. I tried, but.
Yeah.
So it's just
Who the
my,
heck's this guy?
just my name on the agenda, so I can talk about anything I want, right?
Yeah.
So I'll start with the Historical Society update. As far as budget, so we are not taxpayer funded right now. We spent about $5,000 this year. We have about $13,000 left, I think.
I
Can you
didn't bring those
contribute some
numbers with
towards
me.
heating that white school?
No. I can chop firewood or.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about heating it for a while. The burner was underwater an hour ago.
Are you kidding me?
What was
Well,
underwater?
then the pipes better get drained.
What was underwater? What was underwater? Lee?
Common school furnace.
On the school.
That big. So anyways, I think we can continue with the in-house historical budget for 2 or 3 years before we move to a town allocated, whatever you wanna call it, however you guys do that. So
You hope it may move to that.
we will diligently, slowly burn our money. And then as far as a end of
You're
year.
not the Vermont legislature, you can keep your costs.
Yeah, no, we have to use it.
One-time money is one-time money.
And just to clarify, the town of Fairfield serves as the fiscal agent for the Historical Society, so their funds live in an account that's separate from our general fund. But the bills come through here to reimburse.
And then as far as just a general update on year-end historical stuff, I've lost it somewhere in here. But essentially, so we applied for a $1,000 grant for a steel memorial sign, those historical green and red signs.
Yeah.
It's through the state of Vermont. We want to do it for the Marietta Ball murder, which happened between French Hill Road and Fairfield Hill Road
Yeah.
in 1874. So
Isn't there a monument up there?
There
There
wa-
broken.
Yes, correct. So there was, and then it went missing. It was broken, and then it went missing in the
Oh,
50s. Yeah. So we're working through that right now, working with St. Albans Museum and all of that. And then as far as the common school, we don't have too much going on other than I'm in that committee to research options. So I don't think the Historical Society will be too involved in that, but, kind of part of that.
There's one more meeting scheduled around that discussion, and then Julie will be coming in to talk to you all about some of the findings.
Okay, I found my paper. Okay, so we got rid of some of that junk in the, I shouldn't say junk, some of the stuff that was downstairs.
Previously owned, gently used.
Yes, nobody wanted it, so we got rid of it.
Did you find a home for it, or did you have to dispose of something?
So we found a home for one of the items.
Yeah.
It was like the plows, 2 of the plows.
Yeah.
And then the piano, nobody wants pianos, so we got rid of those. Okay, so we hosted all the historical societies in Franklin County. We did that at the brick store. It was really good, had a good turnout. Got updates from across the county. We are researching into, I think it was Gavin, it was your idea about the repainting the cemetery signs around town.
Yeah.
So I'm getting in touch with the Fairfield art teacher about that. Talked about the working group. Okay, the state of Vermont, they're working out a use agreement with a group of people in East Fairfield for the church over there. The old Baptist Chester Arthur Church.
Yeah.
So that is going to be happening here and set up for the spring. So basically the state will still own it, but they can go in and use it for church services. So it sounds like a good deal for that. And then just other stuff, I get emails every couple days, a lot of family genealogy, family history. Some people make trips to cemeteries, and then some write books. I've got 3 or 4 authors that have emailed me. One book about the Marietta Ball murder just came out actually, and so she's been kind of working with us as well and distributing information. Any questions on historical stuff?
Seems like you're covering it.
Okay.
Gentlemen, any questions?
How many people do you have a board, or?
We do have a board, 5 people, not super active, but we stay in touch. We mostly email. We don't really have any monthly meetings anymore. But we have a budget. I go over it with Kathy occasionally and kind of keep things going.
And any expenses are approved by the board via email.
Yeah.
Okay, so switching my hat. So on the topic of kind of planning and zoning, I have some suggestions. One suggestion would be the next select board meeting, if we could possibly do it at a different time than the zoning board. Because I think they're both gonna be on January 8th at 7 PM again. And I think it's important for you all to have an opportunity to be there and see, like I was sitting there and one example is, Chuck was the only one on that board that asked a logical question. So to me, it's kind of ironic hearing that there's a conflict of interest when he was asking questions about the regulations. Very professional and completely separate from Linda. So I just think it would be beneficial for the board to actually witness that as well. And then Northwest Access, I asked that they could be there to record the meetings because this could be appealed at some point, and I think it's important, but I don't think they can cover it if it's at the same time as your meeting. So that was one suggestion I had. The zoning administration position, just a recommendation of formally making a motion that Melissa is the acting zoning administrator for a certain amount of time.
We have one.
He
He issued a letter of resignation.
Really?
He did, yes, and we're gonna go into an executive session to discuss that.
You didn't know that?
No, it didn't.
He didn't last longer than Aaron Rodgers in his first football game this year.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, he was knowledgeable too, so it's.
He was very knowledgeable.
Yeah. So I would, I think legally and then just in terms of everyone else for our clarity, because that would mean if Melissa's not an acting or a voting member, obviously she can't vote, which means that planning board is only 4 people. So now you have a even numbered board.
You can vote as chairman.
I am the chair, I can vote.
Yeah, she can vote as chairman.
As the chair, but not as the acting zoning administrator.
We'll take that on our advisement.
Yeah,
We got stuff to process.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
are going into an executive session about employee.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, these are just, things that, and then same thing on the board members, I know a lot of the public members ask me questions. There's a lot of confusion on how many people are allowed on the board. And then term limits, nobody knows what the term limits are on the zoning board.
They're in the town report every year.
Yeah.
Oh, the town
The year
report.
when the person phases out, can rerun, will be reappointed.
Okay.
They're on, there's 3 years and 2 years, just like the select board.
So that's the town meeting, or the
The
town?
town report that
It's
comes
in the
out.
town.
every
Oh, the
year.
booklet.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that was it. And then on behalf of some other people, some concerns about open meeting law right now. We had a meeting about the sketch plan at 837 earlier this month, and there's been no meeting minutes posted. And I think they're supposed to be posted 5 days after the meeting. Again, I don't know if it's crucial, but
They were
just,
done the day after. He didn't give them to you to post.
I don't know, I don't have the meeting minutes from that.
so again, nothing critical. And I don't wanna, I apologize for like jumping you guys with this information, but there's a lot of people that are seeing kind of these things and they have concerns. And I said I would be the punching bag messenger guy, so that's all I have. I appreciate it.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you guys.
Sorry, that's the.
Oh, perfect. All right, I have this booklet. Thank you, appreciate it.
And Tori has submitted his application, his resume for consideration as a zoning administrator.
Hopefully someone more experienced applies, but the backup to the backup. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Next question.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine, but don't we have to have a written request from you guys so that we have in our records as far as this, written appeal, so we can have that for our,
The written appeal
to the board, the select board, and also that we just have it, so they go in executive session, that they know what you're actually written. I think it saves the documents, you should have a,
Does your email to me count as a written?
I would assume it did. I mean, I got on the agenda. I didn't put myself on there.
but it's not a written documentation that they were received, so.
There will be written documentation in the minutes
Okay.
of this meeting as well. So we have an email and then the minutes of this.
So we have an email from them to you. Yeah.
And that's how-
I think that
Well,
was.
just try, that's all I'm saying, is you have to just rest.
No, it's a good point, Chuck.
Paper trail. Good.
And there's not somebody thinking one thing and someone else thinking something different. Okay, is there anybody else before? I guess if there's nothing else, we're gonna move on to just regular business. Do we have anything from Linda? Just tell me.
I don't have anything from Linda.
Okey-doke. Someone make a motion to approve the minutes?
There are two minutes.
Two versions,
Yeah, one is from last week and one is from the.
budget meeting.
Yeah, I make a motion, we approve the minutes from December 4th.
Okay, someone second that?
second.
Is there anything anybody wants to amend or change? If there isn't, we'll call a vote on it. All in favor?
Aye. I make a motion, we approve the minutes from December 13th.
Someone second that?
Yep.
Is there any changes that need to be made on that? If there isn't, call a vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Get that business out of the way. Excuse me. Health officer update. Am I following the right order here? Oh, we got it, Kathy, we got your report, you were before, yeah?
Okay, so the regional planning committee's, commission is asking for, updates on flooding from the emergency managers again. They will be requesting that tomorrow morning, so I'm in a situation where, again, I need information to come to me. And at this point, we still don't have a system in place. I just want to point that out. I'll do my best, but,
I don't know if you will have it tomorrow morning, they'll probably be out working on culverts and they were this afternoon.
right. And in the community, if there's ever something, this is not to, at all undermine the emergency responders. They are the first call for any emergency, but if you ever see during a flooding or emergency a situation, something that you think would benefit us to know.
Like a culvert going out
Yeah,
somewhere,
you
that
can
somebody's
give
not.
us a call, let us know. It goes into the regional planning process. It helps with funding our roads, things like that. So just take
Is
that
there,
with you.
is there a particular number to call, especially after an hour?
You can call my phone number, it's 7, what is it? Not my cell phone.
3261.
Not my cell phone. 3261.
827-3261 in the
I think it's
town.
rotary 4 on the phone, right?
Yeah, it's for,
Yeah.
101 will also get you there, I'm not sure why.
So if there's water over the road, how far over the road does it have to be before we would wanna call you? Like all the way over, or like halfway over?
You can do whatever you want when it comes to.
I'll tell you
roads.
what, if
And you can connect with
if
me
you see
whenever.
the road, I
Yeah.
mean, the water approaching the road, call it in. Again, we'll give Mo a heads up.
You know, they at least can put some signs out.
Yeah.
Signage.
So there's already, it's partway over the road on Chester, I think, right above the bridge for the farm, but there are cones out there.
And
Yeah.
I did connect with the road crew about that this morning, and then there were a few other places where there was water over the road that I connected with the road crew about. When this is happening, we don't have road crew in the office.
I haven't been up
You
there.
know, so calling this office is
I just
best,
hope
and then
it's
you can reach out to them.
Okay.
Let's see, so the 4x4s. There's a community member who's come in and talked with you about wanting to put something on the warning for town meeting regarding enacting an ordinance that would allow 4x4s and side-by-sides to drive on class 3 and class 2 and class 3 roads. Excuse me, my mouth is dry today. We came up with some language that I then sent to our lawyer as per your request. And the lawyer has given us an opinion about this situation that I would like to bring to the executive session.
Okay, then we'll hold off on that to executive session.
So,
Now, this is at Jim Barlow.
so this is Jim Barlow. The only two other things are, we need to execute the contract for the St. Albans Emergency Communication and Dispatch Services for 2024. There was an increase, it's been put into the budget already, which you reviewed at our meeting last week. So we just need a motion for that to take place.
Would you gentlemen make a motion?
Yeah, make a motion that takes place.
I second.
Okay, Bruce,
If I can execute it, I can just sign it and send it.
So all in favor of,
Already approved it.
Yeah.
well,
We
yeah,
haven't
kind of
approved the budget
need,
yet.
you haven't approved the budget yet, so we gotta go through this formality of it. So is everyone in favor of sticking with it?
Anything you do about it?
Not much.
We do have the auditors coming in for the preliminary work on the first week of January. So it would be very helpful, even though we don't have a meeting next week, for the select board to come in possibly on the 28th of next week to sign one more AP, accounts payable, if we can put together one more package. It's not, everything is not quite in.
Yeah.
So if we could have
You're gonna have-
two or three of you come in and sign it.
Sign it, then approve it at the next meeting.
And we'll approve it.
Ratify it at the next meeting.
So those are the only things I have other than approving the budget, which we need to discuss.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yes. How do you ask questions?
No, just put your hand up there.
Okay,
We're not too formal here.
okay. I'm wondering about that 4x4 side-by-side thing. Is that lawyer's opinion public record? Can you share it with us?
It is actually something that the select board would need to determine whether if it's attorney-client, it would be covered under attorney-client privilege.
Okay.
And then because it's covered, until the select board determines whether or not to release it.
That would be a really nice thing to
Yeah.
let the public know about before town meeting day.
Oh, absolutely, so
Yeah.
there are a couple things that need to happen. If a petition is going to take place, in order for anything to go on the warrant, a petition needs to take place with, I think, 74 of the voting members of of Fairfield. And that process is kind of moving forward until if there's another direction taken. So, and the petition is basically would put the words of what would go on the warning out to the public, and then that petitioner would need to get 74 people to sign the petition in order to get it on the warning.
And then, how is the public warned, how would they really know?
When you get that town report,
The town report has to.
it'll be one of the
public
questions in the back, and then you vote on it at town meeting
Got
warning. Right,
as a group, whether you want them or you don't want them.
it, okay, I'm just trying to understand.
and the agenda is always written in the town report as well.
I'm trying to pay closer attention to the process.
So Gavin did give in reference to your question, a quite lengthy explanation to this individual who's come a couple times about this process and how it played out. I don't know how long ago, but.
Yeah, it's a couple of months ago.
No, when you said it was.
There was one time before this came up. How long ago would you say, 4 or 5 years ago?
At least.
Yeah. And
At
then
least.
voted. We
I've
voted,
left, but my computer's doing that.
yeah. And we voted on town meeting, I believe. Because that was a case, it's like everything else. This guy, one of the individuals strongly disbelieved about these clubs. And he was going on about them, and then I said, well, you complained about 2 of your neighbors, 2 kids coming down the road on 2 wheels doing 6 miles an hour on the curve. Well, that was local. I thought, well, how is that any different? The other one group abides by any kind of rule, and one just free-for-alls, you know? But it's a people's choice in town to own the roads. That's the way I look at it. So if we vote on it as a group, then we decide.
So
You do, you don't.
Yeah, and the discussion that I've had with this person so far, the words that are not covered by attorney-client privilege are shall the voters direct the Fairfield Selectboard to agree to create an ordinance that allows registered ATVs and side-by-sides to be operated on class 2 and 3 roads in Fairfield. So if it goes on, then she would have to get signatures to put that on.
Class 2 road, that's like the Chester Earth road.
Yep.
Class 3 road, that's like the Wanzer road, the dirt road.
No, that's class 2 too.
That's class 2 too.
In the top, or is that 3? One's, that's 3.
I have a map in my office
Yes.
I can get to you.
Class 2
Class 2 are all
north and
blacktop.
south.
They're all blacktop,
State.
basically.
Yeah,
Yeah, state funded.
So most of the roads in Fairfield are class 3.
Most of them, yeah. Then you got some class 4s, trails.
Yeah.
87 miles of dirt.
Okay.
Isn't this gonna open up a whole can of enforcement issues? And who's on the hook for that? And, well, I'm not a lawyer, but it seems pretty obvious that, great, we can say it's allowed, but the
Or you can do like you do
No,
now,
it's
you can,
actually-
you let, it just happens.
it would,
If a game warden catches them, well, that's what catches them.
it would direct the Fairfield Select Boards to create an ordinance.
Well,
And so
we're a long
the
ways
details
from that,
of
yeah.
what
We
that
don't have the
ordinance
wording
looks
or
like,
details
and
of the
enforcement and
assumptions.
discussions and community dialogue has to take place, yeah. Yeah, it's a whole process.
Yeah, and the whole enforcement thing is why I haven't come and asked you to have a public nudity ordinance be called, because naked guy lives just down the road from me and strolls around twirling his particulars.
Oh,
So, you know, and he does it regularly, but there's no enforcement behind it because we have nothing in the town.
Don't they allow it in Brattleboro, and they have parades and all that, and one UVM?
I know.
As
If
long
there's
as
no-
you get
it's not
undressed
illegal to
inside
be
your
naked.
house, you can walk around naked outside your house.
Yeah, if
Undressed.
I know.
if there's no
aware of that.
ordinance.
And so if you're
then it
homeless
defaults
living in
to
your
state
car, apparently you can do it in your
statutes.
vehicle, and then,
Get undressed
yeah.
inside.
Do you have a question?
I do, but it's on another subject. Is there a
Okay, take off the
option
fun
for the
ones, we'll go back to reality. What's your question?
Not that this one isn't particularly interesting, but it does interest. I'm very interested in public safety and wondered if, where we're at as a town, if that's been an issue you guys have begun to talk about either with, our new state's attorney or, the sheriff's office or even the state police. I know this is going on in many other towns about what community actions. Public safety is obviously a big concern for everyone right now, and wanting to make sure that in rural places we're getting equal time with law enforcement. So I was wondering where we're at in that discussion here, if that's something you guys have begun to think about or put together a subcommittee on.
Not that I'm aware of, pretty much as it has been in my mind. We haven't talked about it or discussed it.
Nobody's brought it up.
So I would like to just be a voice in the community to say it is something that's very important to me as a community member. and many of my neighbors in Fairfield, throughout Fairfield. And so would like to invite us to continue that conversation, maybe as a, within the next, say, 90 days, to have some sort of a public forum or even some sort of group way to start brainstorming about where we're at, taking the temperature and the assessment, and what, if any, steps need to be done. It's just checking in with the state's attorney's office, or as things evolve with our law enforcement here in the town.
The number one way to move something like this forward
Yep.
is to get involved. Because there's 15 people in town who do everything, so come to the table, come to the next meeting, get on the agenda. And talk
That would
about
be
it.
one way to see it move forward.
We have talked about it quite a bit at regional planning. In regional planning, we got a long briefing from an initiative with the village of Swanton that is expanding to other communities that want to participate. So I mean, there's certainly resources in Franklin County that could answer people that had concerns, on the public safety issue.
That's great to hear, and I'm not sure that there's an action item in anything to do other than just, registering that people are thinking about it and wanting to check in as a community about how we can act or how we can support, so.
Yeah, because I mean, no matter how we go about it, it's costly in Denver. Just what I've seen with Swanton's increase is gonna be in St. Albans, town's gonna be. Just to get them, one time when Roger Longevan was on, we wanted to try to get 3 or 4 towns. Was it Fairfield and Fletcher and that was this was 5 years ago, that was one pricey scenario. I mean, real pricey, and I don't know now how much it would be to do it, but unless we find out, we won't know. Well, I think Dave's suggestion puts it together.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get something, people at least looking into it, what it's gonna cost us, when, or what time would be the most advantageous for the town to have some coverage of some nature.
Well, and I'm not here to endorse that that's the thrust here, that's
Yeah.
something that we should spend on or not, just evaluating and, as I said, taking the temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, well,
to
thank
get
you.
any more coverage, you're gonna have to pay, because we're limited on what we get now. Just a little bit from state police and maybe when the sheriff goes through, but.
Sheriff won't have anything to do with us, they told me. We're just state police. Unless we pay the sheriff, they don't do anything here.
Yeah.
I can
Well,
say,
they could make an arrest if they wanted to.
If they don't.
yeah. I can say that, the best course of action for people in the community who are interested is exactly what they said, which is, if you are interested in something, do something, and then see what people say, bring it to the select board, what you found out, and then discuss what you think should be next. We have 2 full-time people in the in this office right now, and then the select board is volunteer. So in order to make things happen, it's really about community engagement in Fairfield.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other questions before we go on? Anybody's got anything more? We're gonna keep moving along on this.
Anybody on Zoom that wants to speak up?
I'd like to make a motion, we approve the warrants.
Someone second that?
Second.
Any objections? There isn't. Everybody in favor?
Right.
Alright, so that's done with. Health officer update, I guess we're down to that now, right?
Just one interesting thing, hold on one second, there's a chat here, chats, let me just see what these people want. The health department has taken rental inspections away from the health officer. I'm very excited.
And the state has taken that over?
No, it's gonna go to the Department of Public Safety.
So they have.
Sorry, Dave. January 1st.
Oh, but
Department of,
they-
State of Vermont, Department of Public Safety?
Yes.
They have a new position that's taking that over, the guy we talked to this spring. right?
Really? Is he gonna be the one to do it?
He was heading up a new department, I was hoping to do that.
Yeah.
Is he gonna be dog catcher too? Anybody wanna be a dog catcher?
Get to see the whole town, meet new people.
I think to take one job off my plate is a really exciting
Yeah,
thing.
well, good.
So, hey, because I can actually work for money instead.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay. So P&Z update, what's that all amount to?
I think you've gotten everything that you're gonna get unless it's in executive session.
Okay. And the 24 Fairfield Town budget discussion.
Yes, so, you all spent a good amount of time on the budget last week. I spent time just making sure and making sure that all the numbers are correct. I've entered them into this document for you to look at.
Are we going to executive for budgeting or?
That's what I was gonna ask you.
It's public for budgeting, and it would be based on the public meeting from last week.
Before we go into that, just so everybody knows, and whoever in the peanut gallery is going to the next meeting, the common school had 8-10 inches of water in it. The boiler, the water heater, the humidifier, everything else was under. That's at the bottom, and at the top, there's water coming through the roof. So,
There is?
So the drain plugged or you just couldn't take it?
the drain's plugged, we pumped all we could with a portable pump, and the rest is going down another hole in the basement. I don't know how much it'll take. When we get out of here, I'll go see how much is left, and tomorrow we'll have to get a sump pump or something.
We're gonna have to drain the water and stuff in there, aren't we?
Have to drain the fuel filters. I don't know.
sump pump in
You know, there's always been a drain, but who knows when the last time there was a mirror. But we're gonna have to do something about the heat. I don't know. It may be okay, but the burner was wetter than I was gonna plug it in.
Yeah, I don't blame you, so I have to leave it alone.
And I'm gonna charge for a new pair of boots, cause one of mine leaks, so.
We'll get you a repair kit.
I just bought some.
I have one in my basement.
You're so kind, Gavin.
Yeah, in fact, I think I've got one at home.
I just bought shoe goo for mine.
Oh, just what I use on my
Dave,
mud
you have
boots.
Larry's number?
Where are your waiters?
I'm gonna say call him 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah, don't call after, cause you'll be down getting coffee in the hall.
Well, it says need some time to dry out.
Yeah,
That's too much, but I'll get one.
see what we can
Chase it
do.
down.
Okay,
So in terms of the budget, taking into consideration that the highway, the state provided $112,000 early, and that is really the surplus for this year. And keeping in mind that you all decided to decrease significantly the contribution to our equipment fund out of the budget. There is a 0.26% decrease in the total budget from last year, which would result in a 2.26% increase in the tax request, which is about $4,000 increase to the taxpayers. And that includes a 3.2% cost of living adjustment for the staff, which is similar to the Social Security cost of living adjustment. And the budgeted amount to be raised in taxes is $1,179,044. That's a summary of many hours of work. So this is just the final numbers based on what we had discussed during a public meeting. And then this is the select board's opportunity to review, ask questions, or move to.
Do you see anything in the anticipated,
We have to get through this month to know what the anticipated rest, if
Right.
there is more.
you don't see anything?
So last year our surplus was less than $10,000. It was $9,000, which is a significantly small amount when you talk about with all of the amount of money that we're
About
looking
a
at.
0.5% of your total budget.
What was that?
It's about 0.5% of your total budget.
Yeah, it's about 0.5%. So, yeah, so it's
Well, I think
4,000.
that's a great follow-up from our Wednesday discussion. In light of, I mean, I was gonna do this separately, but following up our discussion from Wednesday, and in light of Dave's briefing tonight, I think we should formalize a building administrator role within the highway department, where we pay an extra stipend for someone to do a building check. You know, run a check, like how much fuel's in the old town, do the whole thing. How's the roof if that's not within our current skill set, I think we should come up with a $8,000 stipend or something, some number, where we give someone who has an interest and aptitude within our current employees to take that responsibility.
Problem is taking it away when we.
That's what I was wondering, would we take that away from regular duties?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, not
I don't know.
really.
I just know we've got to formalize it.
Yeah.
And we've been very fortunate with volunteers but in light of a roof leak, it's an example. And we got the opportunity, I mean, we're.
None of those guys can do that.
No, I can't say I bite right into that one right now, Brian. I can see investigating it, because you got two buildings you don't have people in most of the time. That white school and that old town clerk's office. And if that town clerk's office rental agreement goes through, then that's gonna be its own
Well,
thing.
that's what I mean by taking it away. If
Yeah.
we occupy one building or,
I don't care how we do it.
yeah.
I just think we need to formalize it because,
Even if it's just an assignment of 1 hour a week, you're gonna go run through these buildings.
Yeah.
which is.
How badly was it leaking on the roof of the school?
It's hard to tell.
I mean, there's a difference between a drip and a whole
Yeah,
downpour
there
down
was-
through a wall.
No, it was dripping in 2 spots.
Yeah,
She had like trash cans underneath it there.
that's up on the 3rd
So
floor.
insulation's soaked.
Oh, Lord, like that.
Yeah.
I didn't dare pull.
We gotta figure out, yeah, one be on some committee, we're really trying to figure out what we're gonna do with that white school. Because it's a money drain pit right now for what you get back out of it. So we're all open to ideas on what.
Kathy, are you gonna be on the next meeting?
Yeah.
I think our
Make sure you let us
fuel
know.
budget for the common school is 25 grand for this winter.
To keep it the way it is without anything, heat, maintenance is 25 grand.
Yeah,
It's over 10 to heat it.
yeah, I thought it would budget had 11,000 something. But it's just,
So related to the moisture, there was, when was the school did a mold abatement process back when they were occupying it, I think it was 10 years ago maybe.
yes.
So it's not something that is new to the building.
Well, that
Do we
might
need
be.
a
We need a motion to accept the budget.
If it
you're happy
is
with
being
this.
accepted as is, then you can move to adopt it.
Don't we
or
have
to-
like a couple weeks though into January that we kind of let the
If it's-
dust out? I mean,
If it's done, you can do that. I need to be able to enter it into NEMRIC as it's supposed to be in order for us to move into a new fiscal year.
oh,
But
I make
the
a motion we
actual
approve.
approval of the budget takes place at the taxpayers, by the taxpayers.
Right, but when do we need to have it finalized?
I would like it finalized. I mean, when we have to have it finalized is so that I can get it in the budget. I mean,
Right,
into
but
the,
it just.
like, the
So there's
first-
2 phases, so this
the
is
first
enter
of the
into,
year.
close out the year,
Right,
enter into NIMRIC, and
Right.
then we could amend before.
You could amend
we do
that
the
budget
warning.
You
before
can
you,
amend it.
before
I
it
make
gets
a
printed
motion
in
we
the town
approve
report.
the budget as presented on the dated 2023. Is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah, 12/18/650.
But I think if you find something in the end you didn't think you were happy with, you can amend it before you publish it.
Correct.
because the
Correct.
final numbers take place.
But if this will help you put it in NIMRIC, and then we can,
We need to get the final numbers into the book to the taxpayers or to the community. I think she said the second week of January.
yeah.
So we're really kind of at that place where if there are some
I
things
don't
that
see
need to
any
be changed.
major changes that's going on.
I don't either.
No, this is from,
You make
this
some
is where we
changes.
left off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, so, all in favor of,
Second.
I'll second.
so everyone in favor up?
Aye.
Yep, no one is opposed, so, it's done.
I make a motion that we enter executive session to deal with a real estate issue and personnel issue.
And to
Are we all
discuss
set?
a lawyer, the
Oh.
We're
Attorney.
supposed to go in and out.
In and out, in and out, in and out.
Okay, so out.
So real estate issue.
Let's go real estate.
Yeah,
Can I ask just one question?
sure.
What, I brought this to your attention the other day, yeah, the two trees between Chester.
I'm glad you brought that back up, because I already forgot about Jeff.
Yeah, the two trees between Chester's and Old City, they don't look good. It looks like those could go down any time, so I just wanted to bring that up.
Right here, Chester?
Yeah, you should look at it. They're-
Between Chester's and the Old Town Clerk's side.
Two new.
Dave's looking for fireworks.
Well,
Oh, I got all I could eat.
We need proof of
And I don't say
insurance.
that loudly.
I'll give Dave a call, get him cut enough.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, Jeff, because I had forgotten about that.
I just want to bring it back up to you because it
Yeah.
doesn't look good.
Can you mention it to Bo, see if they can do the same thing, he's just,
Real estate.
Right, that's why I was thinking too.
James had mentioned it to
Also
me.
discuss some legal.
I don't think they're big, they're just, but they're cherry and they're dead.
They're all elm, I think. Elm fell over.
Cherry.
The old elm fell down, but I think there's
Two cherries.
two cherries.
James told me, and I meant to bring it up the last time.
Yeah.
Did you
I'm glad
second
Chuck
it?
brought it up, because I forgot.
Okay, we need a second.
Ron, you got a second?
For the executive
The
session.
first one is real
I
estate.
will.
What about your, we started talking about somebody to check the school stuff, why don't we just have one of the town guys do it?
Well, that's what we're talking about.
The garage? You mean the highway department?
Well, they can go in, they've done enough building maintenance stuff.
All they gotta do is open the door, make sure
Right,
it's
just-
solid, the basement's
Yeah.
not full of water.
And maybe over there now, it's a point, because it doesn't get used as much, it should be a
Even if it's a
safety light for the
checklist.
furnace systems. Just so if they see that light on, they know there's no heat.
Yeah, checklist.
I will reach out to Larry for
Yeah,
the water to reset that,
yeah,
and I will have him put a safety light in both buildings.
That's not a
$10,
bad idea.
put thermostat on it, when it comes on.
cheap investment. So, we're going to executive session.
So to
Thank you
finish,
for coming and.
to finish that, can you ask?